Hello, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, and if you like true crime and you like anything related to true crime, I don't know where I'm going with that. You can just add me, subscribe, like, follow, do all those things. I'm really bad at introing these things and outroing them. I don't know why. If you recognize this man, you probably saw him somewhere on like Courtroom Attacks. This made headlines. This man, if you haven't seen the video that I posted, not last, but maybe the one before last, it's titled Death Row Neighbors, and it's this man, Joseph Zieler, and Wade Wilson. And I had to dig into this guy a little bit. And oh my gosh. First off, let's watch this clip. Then we're going to get into this man taking the stand and all the facts about this case.
What's that?
Shirley, are you okay?
I'm fine.
I am relaxed. I'm calm. Relax.
I used to box. I've taken a lot better shots than that.
Yeah, what I missed. Relax, relax. Let me know, you know. I ain't doing nothing to you.
Okay, so this defendant, Joseph Zieler, he killed I think the girl was 11. This was in the 90s when he committed this crime. He killed a babysitter and the little girl that was there. And this case remained cold for over 2 decades. But this man was in and out of jail, in and out of prison for other things. And over time, I'm looking him up right now, Joseph Zieler. Over time, DNA was becoming important and blossoming into direct evidence. And lo and behold, this cold case gets broken from DNA evidence of his semen on sheets, on one of the victims that he sexually assaulted. This was a 1990 Cape Coral double murder. So let's go ahead and listen to him testify. He does direct for a few moments. I only want to hear his cross. So let me just find that. His direct is I'll leave the link for this. And if you care to listen to his direct, then you can click that. Let me see where we are.
That was the day that.
Oh God. Actually, I think. Sorry, guys. I yell when I'm typing. All caps 947. Is this direct? Yes. This is alarming, but we're going to get into it.
3901, that's where you're being housed.
Yes.
And the address from whom the letter is coming says Joseph Adam Zieler at the top, and then there's more, but that's the first part.
Yes.
And what are the numbers 47492/835775
That's my ID number followed by my booking number.
at the Lee County Jail?
Yes.
And the address of 2115 MLK Boulevard, Main Jail, Fort Myers, 33901, that's where you're being housed.
Yes.
And that letter was addressed to who, sir?
J.G. Batista and family.
At what, well, Did you address this envelope?
Yes.
And who was J.G. Batista and family?
Well, I thought it was Jenny Gal Batista.
Oh, so you were trying to send this letter to Robin's sister then?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes. I was trying to send it to family, actually. So I guess I was trying to send it to everybody.
The whole Batista family?
Yes.
And in that particular letter, did you profess your innocence by claiming that it was a relative of yours that did this murder?
Yes, I was trying to defend myself because no one would listen to me.
Sure, it calls for a yes or no. Did you, in the letter, profess your innocence or allege your innocence by saying that a relative of yours had done these murders?
Yes.
Did you suggest, in addition to that, did you tell the people who this letter's addressed to that you slept with Jan Cornell, Janice, and a friend of hers in 1989, and therefore that's why your DNA is in the Courtyards North condominium?
Yes, I thought so because she didn't wash her sheets.
You know whether or not Miss Cornell washes her sheets?
How I got that is by the information I was given from you was discovery, and I thought that the only way my DNA could have gotten there was me sleeping with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller.
Did you sleep with Jan Cornell and Miss Deller?
It's possible because I was here.
Well, now you were here.
I mean, I was here in December of '89. I testified to that earlier. And what I believe happened is I slept with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller, and they were just too much of a pig not to wash their sheets.
Let's all just take a deep breath on that. You know, Kevin Shirley and Lee Hollander are fuming. Oh.
And during your direct exam by counsel, your attorney, you indicate you'd never been in their condominium.
I'm speculating that the only way my DNA could have got in there is if I slept with them during December '89 while I was here for the month of December.
And then it would have to follow that your DNA would have stayed viable
For
let me finish my question. For if it was January, February, March, April, May of 1990, and then, well, okay, I don't want to make it a compound question. Your DNA would have still been there 5 months later.
Yes.
And that's because they're pigs and they don't wash their sheets, right?
Exactly.
You know that?
Well, I assume that, just like you're assuming that.
But just so the record's clear, when I said they're pigs and they wash their sheets, that's what you said.
Absolutely.
All right. And sitting in jail, pending charges on this case, you thought that this was appropriate to send the 11-year-old who was murdered to mother?
Well, nobody would listen to me, so I was trying to defend myself.
Live your
Nobody's trying to listen to me, so I'm defending myself.
best work life at Southeast Alaska's largest healthcare organization. Search.
Nobody's gonna listen to me, so I'm gonna need to defend myself. Brother, you need to defend that fucking hairline, bro. The fuck?
Can I speak?
No, sir. Wait for a question, please.
May I retrieve the exhibit?
Go ahead.
Approach with exhibit 312.
312.
Take a moment to look at that letter, please.
Was the previous exhibit admitted?
Move to admit 311 if I didn't.
No objection.
311 is admitted.
Sir, on the second page, that which shows the envelope which was sent to, again, J.G. Batista and addressed from Joseph Adam Zieler with the same numbers, is that also a letter you wrote?
I concede I wrote all this.
And in this second letter, you told you directed this towards Jan Cornell, correct? And when you said this.
I can't
And
say unless you show me the letter.
I am. I'm going to direct you to the page right now, page 3. So it's the page right after the envelope picture. On the second paragraph. Did you address to Jan Cornell the following? The only way, underlined, is to admit you possibly could have slept with me as a night encounter, and you can't remember, you won't be sure, you won't retest. Did you?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I can't stand when criminals do this kind of shit. Like, I get it. You have nowhere to be and nothing to do for the rest of your life. But can we just all be on the same page when it comes to certain things? Like, you know what you did. You know what you sent. You know what you said. That kind of shit drives me insane.
I don't see Jan Cornell's name above that. You said Jan Cornell's name was there on that
I
page.
said, who were you, I'll ask it this way. Who were you addressing when you made that statement? Is there someone else in the Batista family you slept with? According to you?
Let the witness answer the question before you ask another question, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, yeah, yes.
Yes to what?
I don't know. Ask it again.
All right. I'm going to ask it open-ended. It's
All right.
right? A very open-ended question. When you made that statement in the letter, who were you directing that
Jan
to?
Cornell, I was trying to get her to ask to retest NB32A because it doesn't contain my DNA. I don't believe it is.
You've been sitting here for the last 2.5 days, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Did you hear the testimony of who was it that retested?
Jim Pollock.
Of Jim Pollock. Was it Jim Pollock?
It was Jim Pollock. It was
The retest.
Beth Ording, Vicky Bellino,
All right.
all of them.
Well, the DNA witnesses, did you hear them say that they actually did retest NB32, that they actually took the sheet, recut another sample, and had another analyst do the same test? Did you hear that?
Yes.
So
I believe FDLE is siding with the prosecution. Of course they're going to say that.
okay, and their opinion on that was that Jan Cornell was excluded from that DNA.
I don't think she was. I think that if it was listed, that's the reason I asked for it to be retested, because I don't believe that.
Now, if you flip the page for me and you go to the 4th page of this pack of that exhibit, and I'm going to ask you to look at the bottom. Did you also direct this to Jan Cornell? If you knowingly allow them to convict the wrong man out of spite and vengeance, I will drag this, parentheses, and you, Robin and Lisa, through appeals all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. I wrote that.
And did you also write on the next line, I'm innocent, I will prove it no matter how long it takes. Do you really want the rest of your life spent in court?
Yes, I wrote that.
You're threatening then Ms. Cornell with what you're going to do should she not, what? What do you want her to do?
Well, she's calling me a rapist and a murderer, so what, I can't write that? I mean, she's calling me a rapist and a murderer, and I'm calling her a pig for not washing her sheets.
At what point in the 33 years has Ms. Cornell called you anything?
What do you mean?
At what point did
Well,
she?
why am I in court today? You're all trying to convince this jury that I somehow left blonde hair in Lisa
Honor,
Stewart's mouth and clutch
you asked the
in Robin
defendant-
Cornell's fist, because that's the piece of paper right here that
Mr.
they're trying to
Zieler.
hide from you.
Mr.
Right here.
Zieler.
I still see the body of 11-year-old
Mr.
Robin
Zieler.
Cornell with the hand, with the hair of her
Ladies and
killer.
gentlemen, the jury will step.
So that does end. And I have not been able to find a continuance of that. And then there's here where they.
May 10th of
Here we go.
2013 marks the 23rd anniversary of a double homicide that happened here in Cape Coral, what is commonly referred to as the Cornell Story homicide case. And what it is Lisa Story and Robin Cornell were brutally murdered May 10th of 1990 in their condo here in Cape Coral. And the day before the anniversary, the Public Affairs Office here at the Cape Coral Police Department brought several media outlets to Jan Cornell's home so that she would have the opportunity to get her story out again and generate some information to help us solve this case. A phrase that we use here at the police department, especially in referring to the Cornell Story case, is it's an old case rather than a cold case. And the difference can be psychological for the intended audience. And we don't want people to hear that a case is cold. It tends to slow down mentally your efforts to want to give us information and be actively involved in the case, rather than an old case that is still vibrant and active, which this case is. Just last week, in fact, we received information on the case, and our detectives were able to get to work on that. And that's what we want the public to understand, that there's a difference between an old case and a cold case.
Oh, so this was in 2013.
And thankfully, I've been able to keep the Cape Coral Police Department on board with my promise. I've told them all about my promise. I promised the day I had to say goodbye that for as long as I was alive, I would never stop looking for who hurt them. And like I said, I've managed to establish a relationship and keep the Cape Coral Police on board. And they're still looking as well. We'll just keep doing this as long as we can reach out and ask people, because I'm convinced in my heart and soul that someone still in this community may have knowledge of who did this crime, and they keep holding back, and every year I say, it's time, please come forward. They're not helping themselves by keeping this to themselves. If anybody knows anything, which, like I said, in my heart and soul, I'm convinced someone knows, they need to come forward to the police department, and they need to help bring justice to this case. Absolutely. I think that's why I have this semi-addiction to these programs, because it does give me a great deal of hope that all these years that have gone by, there is, and then usually it is someone that knows that finally comes forward, because they can't live with it anymore. It's too much. It's too big. They've had families.
So this was the little girl's mom, and I believe she was 11, the little girl was. And then this woman is the mother, and Lisa Story was the babysitter that had moved in to live with Jan Cornell, the mother right here. And she ended up going out late to go hang out with her boyfriend or something. And Lisa encouraged her to, so that she'd take care of the little girl. And she, I guess, fell asleep at her boyfriend's house, and then returned at like 4 a.m. and she had work like at 4:30 or something along those lines. And noticed that when she went to go inside of the townhouse, that the door was like, I guess something was off with the lock or something. She went around back and the sliding glass door was open. She went into the home and she found her daughter dead and the babysitter dead. And I mean, then it went cold. And this interview was in 2013. To think it took 10 more years to finally get justice added on top of this happened in 1990. It's just crazy.
I prayed for this day every day for 26 years and could never let it go, how he tortured and killed my baby and my friend.
Breaking tonight, a horrifying double murder mystery that has haunted the city of Cape Coral for 26 years has finally been solved. 54-year-old Joseph Zieler is now facing sexual battery and first-degree murder charges in the deaths of 11-year-old Robin Cornell and her mom's roommate, Lisa Story. Detectives say both of them were raped and then killed inside their Cape Coral apartment back in 1990. 4 in Your Corner, Stephanie Tinoco live in Cape Coral tonight, explaining how detectives finally cracked this case after all of these years. Stephanie.
Amy, Joseph Zieler was actually arrested for a different crime, and that's how detectives were able to piece this case together. Now, 2 families tonight are finally getting some closure after 26 long years of waiting. Meanwhile, this man's past is back to haunt him.
26 years have passed since this heart-wrenching phone call. Jan Cornell found her 11-year-old daughter Robin and her roommate Lisa Story both raped and dead at her Cape Coral apartment in the courtyards.
Oh my God, please hurry! Ma'am, please just calm down with me. Oh my God!
The killer left clues behind, drops of blood, DNA that matched a sample 26 years later.
We got him.
54-year-old Joseph Zieler is facing arrest on 5 charges, including sexual battery and first-degree murder.
He acts like he don't even know what they're talking about, but you know, the DNA don't lie.
This is Jolie Wilson, Robin's childhood best friend.
At 11, it blows a hole in your heart that you can't, it'll never heal.
Wilson tells me the family didn't know Robin and Lisa's suspected killer, or that he was living in the same county for the past quarter century.
Honestly, I thought he was either long gone out of here or 6 feet under.
Detective Christy Ellis says Zieler was arrested for a different crime, aggravated assault against his son.
He's been living in North Fort Myers, and that's where the crime occurred with his son.
Once Zieler's DNA was taken, Lauren Stringham with forensics tells me they were able to link his DNA with DNA from a stain found years ago.
26 years ago, a stain was found, and they found DNA 26 years ago from an individual, and they matched the two. That's a testament on how good the technicians were back 26 years ago and how good the lab personnel are today.
It's got to be one of the most happiest and saddest days of my life now that he's been caught.
Now, as you can imagine, this has been a very emotional day, not just for the families, but for this entire department. And coming up at 6:30, you'll actually hear from the state attorney's office and what's next in this case. Reporting live in Cape Coral, Stephanie Tinoco.
About to announce at any moment if they're recommending life in prison or the death sentence for convicted murderer Robert Zieler. Let's listen in live at the Lee County Courthouse.
There's a literal gnat that keeps fucking flying in my nostril. If you see me doing weird shit with my nose, just know there's a fucking gnat in here, and I swear it went up my nose like 4 times and shot back out.
Kylan.
Right now, you are looking live inside the Lee County Courthouse. That is Joseph Zieler, who was just convicted of raping and murdering a Cape Coral girl and her babysitter back in 1990. This jury has been deliberating for over 5 hours. They're still there at 11 o'clock tonight, and we just heard that there should be a decision coming into the courtroom any moment right now.
We're going to hang on for just a second because right before this newscast started, the judge, they handed him their verdict, so to speak, or the recommendation.
Form.
Let's listen in for a second.
The defendant will stand to receive the verdict. Madam Clerk, please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 20th Judicial Circuit in and for Lee County, Florida, criminal action, State of Florida versus Joseph Adam Zieler, case number 16 CF 455, verdict. We, the jury, finds as follows as to the defendant, Joseph Adam Zieler, in this case, count 1, first-degree murder of Robin Cornell, aggravating factors. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that Joseph Adam Zieler was previously convicted of another capital felony or a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person, yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed while Joseph Adam Zieler was engaged in the commission of or an attempt to commit a burglary, yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification, yes. Jury verdict as to death penalty. Having unanimously find that at least one aggravating factor has been established beyond a reasonable doubt, at least 8 jurors recommend that Joseph Adam Zieler should be sentenced to death. Yes, by a vote of 10 for a sentence of death and 2 for a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Count 2, first.
He for real looking at Lee Hollander like, the fuck? I can't believe they have him that close. Oh, you know what? I think him smashing Kevin Shirley's head came after this.
Degree murder of Lisa Story. Aggravating factors. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that Joseph Adam Zieler was previously convicted of another capital felony or a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person, yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed while Joseph Adam Zieler was engaged in the commission of or an attempt to commit a burglary, yes. We, the jury, unanimously, at least 8 jurors recommend.
And Lisa Story, Robert Cornell, and recommendation.
Yeah, and the judge.
I'm actually surprised he didn't cause a scene there. If you like this kind of content, give me a follow, subscribe, like, do all those things. And that's all for this one. I will see you in the next one.